Bruno Guimarães has just revealed he lied to Eddie Howe about his fitness, played through illness with 10 kilos on his back, and vowed that only a broken leg will keep him out of Newcastle United's team. This is the definition of a warrior. I'm Rodrigo, and you're on Newcastle Mania, the channel made by a supporter for supporters who are absolutely mad about Newcastle United. You blinked, and Bruno Guimarães has just shown exactly why he's the heartbeat of this Newcastle team. Our captain has delivered one of the most honest, emotional, and inspiring interviews you'll ever hear from a footballer, revealing the links he'll go to for this club. But first, just a quick word. If you love Newcastle and want to keep up with everything happening at our club, subscribe to the channel right now. It costs nothing, helps massively, and makes all the difference to the growth of our black and white community. Hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell. Right then, let's dive into this incredible story. The only way for me not to play is if I break my leg. I always want to play. Those aren't the words of a mercenary collecting a paycheck. Those are the words of a leader who bleeds black and white, who'd run through brick walls for Newcastle United, who embodies everything it means to be a Magpie. Bruno Guimarães has just pulled back the curtain on what really happened before and during Newcastle's 2-0 Champions League victory over Athletic Bilbao. And mate, the revelations are absolutely stunning. Let me take you through exactly what happened, because this story shows the incredible character of Newcastle United's captain. In the build-up to Wednesday night's Champions League match against Athletic Bilbao, Bruno Guimarães was under the weather. He was feeling poorly, not training properly, clearly not at his best. Remember that poor performance against West Ham on Sunday? Bruno was one of several players who didn't perform to their usual standard. Well, now we know why. He was ill. Despite not being fully fit, Bruno kept his place in the starting 11 against Athletic Bilbao. Newcastle went on to win 2-0 with goals from Dan Burn and Joelinton, securing a commanding position for at least a Champions League playoff place. It was a brilliant result. But after the match, when Bruno spoke to reporters, he looked absolutely knackered. Weary-eyed, visibly fatigued, you could see the toll the match had taken on him. And then he dropped this bombshell confession. Bruno admitted, "I'll be honest, I felt bad right through the game, very tired. It was like playing with 10 kg on my back." 10 kilos on his back! Can you imagine playing football at the highest level in the Champions League whilst feeling like you're carrying an extra 10 kilos? That's what Bruno was dealing with throughout the entire 90 minutes. But here's where it gets even more incredible. Despite feeling awful, despite his body not cooperating, he pushed through because of his love for Newcastle United. He continued, "But I will do everything I can for this club. I love to play here. It is my home. It was a big proof that I will not give up for my club. I will always do what I can. It is my home." Those 3 words say everything, don't they? Bruno doesn't see Newcastle as just another club on his CV. He sees it as his home. He's emotionally invested in this project, in this fan base, in bringing success to St James's Park. But then comes the really interesting bit, Bruno's admission about not being completely honest with Eddie Howe. Speaking to Newcastle World after the match, Bruno joked that he needs to be more honest with the gaffer in future. He said, "It was too much. It is never easy to play when you're tired. When you try to run, but your body doesn't follow you, it's hard. I probably should be honest with the gaffer and say I wasn't fit enough to play." So there it is. Bruno admitted he probably should have told Howe he wasn't fit enough to start. But why didn't he? Because of this incredible statement. "The only way for me not to play is if I break my leg. I always want to play." Only a broken leg? That's the level of commitment we're talking about here. Bruno's basically saying, unless my leg is literally broken, I'm playing. I don't care how I feel. I don't care how tired I am. I'm playing for Newcastle United. That's not just dedication. That's pure love for the badge. Now, here's where the story gets even better. Eddie Howe's reaction when he found out Bruno had been playing through illness. When reporters told Howe about Bruno's confession that he wasn't feeling 100%, the manager's response was brilliant. He said, "He wasn't saying that to me this morning. He said he was feeling $1 million this morning. That's news to me." Can you imagine Bruno telling Howe he's feeling brilliant when actually he's feeling terrible? That's the white lie Bruno was talking about. He basically fibbed to his manager so he could play. But he understood why Bruno did it. He continued, "No, in all seriousness, his character is undoubted. His will to play is so strong. I had a detailed talk with him today, and he assured me he'd be fit to produce the performance the team needed, while probably acknowledging that he wasn't 100% fitness." So Howe knew Bruno wasn't fully fit, but Bruno convinced him he could still deliver the performance needed. And you know what? He did. Newcastle won 2-0. Howe went on to say, "That's why we withdrew him when we did, to try and protect him. But I think we lost a little bit when he came off. Speaking honestly, that's how important he is to us. I thought he performed very well." That last sentence is massive. Even playing at 70 or 80% fitness, even feeling like he had 10 kilos on his back, Bruno still performed very well. That's the mark of a world-class player.
Let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture here. Because Bruno's commitment comes at a time when Newcastle desperately need leaders like him. The team has been struggling for consistency in the Premier League this season. They're sitting in 13th place after that poor performance against West Ham. There have been injuries, there have been selection headaches, there have been questions about whether Newcastle can compete on multiple fronts. And in the middle of all this chaos, you've got your captain, not fully fit, not feeling great, but still dragging himself out there to lead by example. That's what leadership looks like. Compare this to some of the attitudes we've seen from other players in modern football. Players who pull out of matches because of minor knocks. Players who don't fancy it when they're feeling a bit under the weather. Players who put their individual well-being above the team's needs. Bruno could easily have said to Howe, "Gaffer, I'm not feeling great, I need a rest." Nobody would have blamed him, he was genuinely ill. But instead, he put the team first. He put Newcastle United first. Now, Bruno's confession also sheds new light on that poor performance against West Ham. Remember, Newcastle lost 3-1 to the Hammers on Sunday in what was an absolutely shocking display. Bruno, like the rest of the team, was well below par. And at the time, fans and pundits were criticising the performance, questioning the players' commitment, wondering what had gone wrong. But now, we know Bruno was feeling unwell. He wasn't training properly in the lead-up to that match. He was under the weather, but still tried to play through it. That doesn't excuse the performance. Newcastle still should have done better. But it does provide context. It explains why one of our best players wasn't at his usual level. And the fact that Bruno tried to play through illness for that match as well shows his commitment isn't just limited to big Champions League nights. He wants to play every single match, regardless of the competition or how he's feeling. Let's compare Bruno's attitude with other captains around the Premier League and European football. You've got players at some clubs who are happy to miss matches for relatively minor issues. Players who prioritise individual fitness over team needs. Players who will take any excuse to get a rest. But Bruno Guimarães, he's the complete opposite. He's the old-school captain who leads from the front, who never backs down, who'd play on one leg if he had to. It reminds me of legendary captains from the past. Players like Roy Keane at Manchester United, Steven Gerrard at Liverpool, John Terry at Chelsea. Players who had that warrior mentality, who'd fight through pain and illness to be on the pitch. That's the calibre of captain Newcastle have got in Bruno Guimarães. And Newcastle fans should be absolutely buzzing to have someone like that wearing the armband. Now, I do need to address the elephant in the room here. Whilst Bruno's commitment is admirable, there is a concern about players pushing themselves too hard. Modern sports science tells us that playing through illness can be dangerous. It can prolong recovery time, it can lead to more serious health issues, it can increase the risk of injury. And Eddie Howe clearly understands this, which is why he substituted Bruno when he did against Athletic Bilbao. He was protecting his captain from himself. Bruno admitted he probably should be honest with the gaffer about not being fit enough to play. And he's right. There needs to be a balance between commitment to the team and taking care of your own health. The last thing Newcastle need is Bruno pushing himself so hard that he ends up with a long-term injury or illness. The team needs him for the long haul, not just for 1 or 2 matches. But at the same time, you've got to respect the mentality. The fact that Bruno's first instinct is always to play, to fight for the team, to be out there with his teammates, That's what makes him such a special captain. Bruno's commitment and leadership are going to be absolutely crucial for Newcastle over the coming weeks and months. The fixture list is brutal. Premier League matches, Champions League nights, potential cup runs. Newcastle need every bit of that warrior mentality if they're going to achieve their ambitions this season. And having a captain who sets that standard, who shows that level of commitment, who refuses to give up no matter how he's feeling, that rubs off on the rest of the squad. Young players see Bruno playing through illness and think, if the captain can do that, I can push myself harder too. It raises the standards across the entire team. This is how winning cultures are built, not through fancy tactics or expensive signings, but through having leaders who embody the values you want the team to represent. You know what the most beautiful thing about Bruno's confession is? It's the raw honesty and emotion behind it. I love to play here. It is my home. Those words aren't rehearsed corporate speak. That's genuine emotion from a player who's fallen in love with Newcastle United, with the city, with the supporters. Bruno came to Newcastle in January 2022 from Lyon. At the time, Newcastle were in a relegation battle. They were struggling near the bottom of the table. But Bruno saw the potential. He believed in the project. He committed to the journey. And now, nearly 3 years later, he's the captain. He's led Newcastle to Champions League qualification. He's helped win the Carabao Cup. He's become one of the most important players at the club. And through all of it, his commitment has never wavered. If anything, it's only grown stronger. He genuinely loves this club, genuinely cares about bringing success to St James's Park. That's why his confession about playing through illness resonates so deeply with Newcastle fans, because it's not just about one match or one performance, it's about a player who'd do anything for the club he loves. The only way for me not to play is if I break my leg. Let those words sink in for a moment. This is Newcastle United captain, one of the best midfielders in the Premier League, saying he'll play through anything except a broken leg. In an era where so many footballers seem disconnected from the clubs they play for, where loyalty is rare and mercenaries are common, Bruno Guimarães stands out as something special, something genuine, something real. He didn't have to admit he was feeling poorly against Athletic Bilbao. He could have kept quiet, taken credit for a good performance, moved on. But instead, he was honest. He pulled back the curtain and showed us the sacrifice, the commitment, the sheer willpower it took to get through that match. This is what leadership looks like. This is what it means to be a captain. This is why Bruno Guimarães wears that armband with such pride. Newcastle United are building something special on Tyneside, and at the heart of it is a Brazilian who's made this city his home, who's made this club his family, who'd quite literally play on a broken leg if he could. To every Newcastle supporter reading this, watching this, listening to this, appreciate what you've got in Bruno Guimarães, because players like him don't come around very often. Players who combine world-class ability with genuine love for the badge are rare treasures in modern football. And to Bruno himself, thank you. Thank you for your commitment. Thank you for your honesty. Thank you for showing us what it means to be a Newcastle United captain. Just maybe be a bit more honest with the gaffer next time, yeah? We need you fit and healthy for the long run. So there you have it. Bruno's incredible confession about playing through illness, his vow that only a broken leg will stop him, and the white lie he told Eddie Howe. This is the kind of story that reminds us why we love football, why we love Newcastle United. It's about commitment, passion, and leaders who run through walls for the badge. What do you reckon? Does Bruno's commitment inspire you? Should he have been more honest with Howe about his fitness, or do you love that he'll do anything to play? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Bruno's warrior mentality, smash that like button. And if you're not already subscribed to Newcastle Mania, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Share this with your fellow Magpies so everyone knows just how special our captain is. I'm Rodrigo, this has been Newcastle Mania, and I'll see you in the next one. Away the lads, see you next time!